The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93-39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's going to be the race to the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
As you love it.
here we go.
You love it. The 0-1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big jump.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to RaceSpotTV for coverage of the Skip Barber 2K World Cup from Summit Point Raceway. It's the shortest track on the schedule. It's one that will produce some very tight, close racing. And as we're into the back end of the championship now, anything can happen. Coming into today's event then, it was Vincenius Rocker leading the way in the championship. Felipe Burr second, Matthew Daniels in third. Bergen Copperidge, Richard Avery, Sebastian Job, Brian Dole, Graham Carroll, Ricardo Farah and Rafael Drascaz running out your top 10. There you can see there the point on your screen. Drivers are currently qualifying. There you can see them as it stands right now. We're going to get the first couple of times in one moment. Going to ride then this lap on board with Felipe Burr. There you can see Felipe Burr provisionally goes to pole position once again. It's currently Avery in second place. Avery coming past the start-finish line any moment now. Let's see whether he can improve on his personal best, which was a 121.26 second. You have got Thabot Subaran in the third spot. Troy Burgess in fourth. Matthew Daniels rounding out your top 5. But for Richard Avery, is it going to be good enough as he comes past the start-finish line? The answer is no. Felipe Burr will have himself pole position for the time being, and it looks as though we've got most of the drivers now scored complete, looking on board with the driver of, actually I'll take that one back because qualifying is over. So here, ladies and gentlemen, is your starting grid for tonight's event. Felipe Burr, pole position for him then. Qualifying time, 1 minute 21.08 second. Richard Avery will start alongside him on the front row of the grid. Thabot Subaran in third place. Troy Burgess in fourth. Matthew Daniels in 5th, Clark Williams in 6th, Brian Dole in 7th position, Chris Lagar in 8th spot, Jonas Puraka in 9th, Rob Kane running out your top 10. Then it's Rob Reed in 11th, Sosbek Feher in the 12th position, David Stefani in 13th, Duncan Copperidge in 14th, Matt Defoe, Carthage Pie, Dustin Kessinger, Rob Adams, Mike McCormick, and George Lee Wright rounding out your top 10 to good evening, Rachel Whiteford.
Good evening, Will. Looking forward to a great night of racing here at Summit Point. This is going to be awesome.
So then the back end of your grid coming up on your screen. See, a number of drivers didn't qualify here today, but we are set for the start in just a couple of moments' time here on RaceSpotTV. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone, and also to all of the drivers here today. Somehow you've been able to and allowed to race, so congratulations to be able to do that one. But in just a couple of moments' time, we'll head ourselves to the grid. The drivers are just working themselves down onto that grid now. Waiting for Philippe Burr. He is your pole position driver. He'll head himself down to that starting grid in just a couple of moments' time. There you can see your field then. It's a packed field at Summit Point Raceway. You will see that run down into turn number 1 being the closest one. Those lights are about to go on top of the iRacing.com gantry, and at any moment now this round of the championship will start as we are underway. Down towards turn number 1 for the first time, then Burr gets himself a good start. They all go 3 wide already. You can see there your pack coming down into that first corner for the first time. It's going to be mighty close, but Burr leads away. There you can see the 101 car under attack. Fabot Subaran trying to look down to the inside of that friction racing car as they come down. We got contact with the field as well. We got ourselves, well, a pretty big incident there. You can see Clint Simpson is spun around in the number 12 Club 100 car. He gets it back going. He is turned around. But we've also got Ricardo Bispo out as well. Out front, however, Philippe Burr leads the way right now. Richard Avery is in that 2nd place. And Theobald Subaran in the 3rd position. Well, Subaran did try and make that run down in towards turn number 1, but he wasn't able to get that move complete in that number 146 car, Rachel.
He was not, Will, and that incident in the back of the pack we just saw was caused actually by Ricardo Bispo going into the back there of Chris Simpson, so not a good start for some of those cars. Bispo ending up rolling it 4 or 5 times to the gravel.
As you can see there, your pack is funneling through on this first lap of the event. It looks as though most of your drivers have got through the first part of this race without incident. There you can see them down towards the final corner for the first time and waiting for Philippe Burr to come through now. Now he does. You can see the gap between himself and Richard Avery is about 0.5 of a second on the racetrack. So you have a look at them from the rear of Philippe Burr. Now the thing is that you've got one real passing opportunity at this racetrack, Rachel. That is into this first corner. You don't make it here, you pretty much have to wait an entire lap.
That's true, Will, but you have got a minor opportunity at turn 5, also known as the Wagon Wheelers. We're 3 wide towards the back of the pack here with David Stefani and friends getting rather interesting in turn 1, Will, but yeah, turn 1 is the main passing zone. Turn 5 if you're brave.
You can see riding on board with Matt Defoe in that number 37 car, currently scored down in 16th place on the racetrack. They were able to go 3 wide and made it down to the inside there. Low, very close. Defoe being pushed off the racetrack by himself there. You can see he's going to potentially lose position to Carthage Pie, who's right behind him as they come down side by side. And Carthage Pie actually might get the line to the next corner. He thinks about looking, makes a little bit of contact. They do just about hold on, however. Carthage Pie, there you can see him in that number 7 car. We ride on board with him as they work themselves on the back end of the racetrack once again. But Rachel, out front, it does look as though that Burr has got himself a great start to tonight's event.
He does indeed, Will. Got a bit of clean air actually there from Richard Avery in 2nd and from Subrand in 3rd. So yeah, 5 cars really at the front of this one, Will, and well, pretty spread out as it stands.
And at the very rear of the field, there you can see Rich Jones is the last driver really in this race. Chris Simpson, Kevin Weirman and Ricardo Bispo are still scored on the racetrack, but they are well down due to having incidents at the start of tonight's event. Let's have a look then down in this mid-pack. You can see it's very close right now. So riding on board with Clark Williams in that number 42 car, working themselves through turn number towards turn number 2 once again. This is, of course, where we saw Defoe go off a couple of moments ago. And that turn 2 is a lot more difficult than it looks like on paper. If you catch that gravel there, it just kind of pushes that car off the racing line, and it makes it very difficult to maintain momentum into turn 3. You can see actually the number 18 car of Brian Dole looking down to the inside of Yunus Purka, but not able to complete the pass.
No, he is not, Will. That was a tough place to try and make that work, but, well, he'll have a few more opportunities in this race. But, yeah, that's one of the more difficult little sections of this car. Very loose in the back end to go fast. And those tight corners really are tricky, especially in traffic.
As you can see there, just cycle our camera through to the front again. There are your top 5 drivers. They have broken away. You can see the gap now between Matthew Daniels in 5th position and Yunus Purka in 6th. It's about 1.86 seconds at the moment. Almost just up to 2 seconds now. Riding on board with Matthew Daniels. He has got Troy Burgess just ahead of him on the racetrack. Although behind, we've got ourselves Brian Dole looking as if he's going to potentially try and make a move over Yunus Purka. No, not into turn number 1, but behind. Clark Williams looks down to the inside and will complete the pass. No, he won't there. He stays side by side, and they're side by side behind him as well, with Rob Reed going side by side with Rob Kane. So right on board now with Rob Reed in that number 45 car.
We do indeed, Rob Reed. He's been looking for some positions, but he hasn't quite got the speed at the moment. Well, finding it difficult to try and find a hole in that very dense traffic he's running in right now. Of course, running turn 5 with this traffic is going to be interesting for these guys. Making sure their braking points are right is critical here. Very, very tight corner. One of the most difficult on the track after turn 1.
Yeah, as you can see, actually, there, the number 119 car of Salzburg's Freiherr losing a position to Duncan Copperidge. They can see Copperidge since the start of this race. He is up 2 positions from where he started, now running himself in P number 12. So it's very busy down in this mid-pack. It's probably where we're seeing the best of the racing so far. What we can see as well, down in the field as well, as these drivers will cycle through, you can see that you've got yourself that number 27 car and Matthias Wieger putting pressure on David Stefani right now in that 156 car. Through the final corner they come, and Wieger is going to try and get that momentum as they work themselves down towards turn number 1. This is what we talk about by it being the best overtaking opportunity. Side-by-side racing. Battle for P number 16. Matthias Wieger is now able to complete that pass. He is on the move. He started this race outside the top 20. Now running himself in P number 16. And number 7 car as well of Karthik Pai will get himself past Stefani as well on the exit of turn number 1, Rach.
He does indeed, and Defoe getting past George Lee right there, well, in through turn 1. Good run for him down that straightaway and getting that speed and getting right past him in textbook fashion. Those two pretty much separated now from the pack ahead of them, so they have to work together to try and catch up.
Yeah, as you can see there, just behind, having a look at these cars cycle through down in your mid-pack. And having a look actually back out front, you can see Philippe Leber, gap between himself and Richard Avery is currently 0.6 of a second. Avery to Subaru at 0.6 of a second as well. Troy Burgess in 4th place. Well, he is another 0.6 of a second back, and then it's just 3/10 of a second back to the rear of Matthew Daniels as they come down into that final corner once again to complete lap number 5 of 29 here. Now,
oh, Leber wide.
One of the
Leber
things,
very wide, well.
One of the things to note, Rachel, as they say, Leber there, we'll get ourselves a replay of that one. One of the things to note, Rachel, is that there is no Vincenzo Rocca here today. There is, of course, drop weeks in force in this series, but, well, Leber can gain some valuable points here. Rocca, not gaining any, does look as though that Leber has got himself a good run, but pushing wide there as he was just working himself behind traffic and actually almost running into the rear of that number 179 car as he put him a lap down.
He does indeed, not quite reading the right intentions there. That'll have traffic well. Of course, Bispo involved in that very early wreck in turn 1 on the first lap. But yeah, he can gain some really valuable points here, of course. Leber and Rocca both have had odd races so far this season, so whilst Rocca will be hoping to drop this one because he isn't running, Leber can hopefully make up for some of his previous incidents without one of his nearest competitors here. And no Sebastian Job to come up to the works.
Yeah, there you can see then your biggest movers and shakers in the race so far. It's all as it starts in your top 5. Purka is up 3 positions, Williams down 2, McGarren down 1. Your big movers is George Lee Wright is up 5 positions, Wager is up 7 spots in the event. Having a look there at Theho, who's down 1 position where he started. Stefani's having a tough day of it. Who's made on holiday at the rear end of your field they're having themselves a very good one as they now trying to crack into that top 20. And they can see down at the rear of the field, it's mighty, mighty close right now with Richard Holiday. So they work themselves down into that final corner once again. And we go long board then with Richard Holiday, who since the start of today's race, well, he's been on the move, up 9 positions, now running himself in the 22nd spot on the racetrack, putting pressure on Bart Hogemood just ahead of him.
Yeah, starting second to last, Will. Holiday had a bad qualifying, but, well, he didn't in this case. The only person that's moved up more places is Bart Hogemood, who, of course, started behind him. So those two moving up rapidly, both not getting qualifying times in, but showing they definitely have the speed to advance here. But they're stuck in a fairly big train of traffic here. They need to get past this pretty soon if they want to advance further.
Rob Adams riding on board of him with side by side with Ryan Delvin. Delvin is the beneficiary in that battle as they now with themselves on lap number 7 here of 29. And your top 10 as it stands, it is Labour leading from Avery, from Subaru, from Burgess, from Daniels, Purka, Dole, Williams, Kane and McGowan. And to give you an update on retirees, well, Fahim Atinides didn't start this race, and Ricardo Bispo is currently classified as out of tonight's event. Clark Williams putting that pressure on Brian Dowell in that battle for P number 7 on the racetrack, so work themselves down into the final corner once again. They can see Clark Williams, well, he is down 2 spots from where he started today's race. He started in P6, he lost the position on lap number 1, then losing himself another spot, now scored down in that 8th position on the racetrack, coming down in towards turn number 1, not the draft working for himself there, although Brian Dole, of course, has the draft as well to the rear of Yunus Purka. But this really is now that second pack, as we talked about earlier on, Rachel. It does look as though that they're kind of all trying to work with each other to try and keep themselves in touching distance of your race leader.
Absolutely. I mean, this is pretty early days, Will. We're lap 8 of 29, sorry. So we're just under a third of the way into this race. And right now, cooperating is far more valuable to actually keep that pack close together than fighting and separating, which they've done a little bit of, but they're going to be hopefully working together more now just to kind of increase that performance. Of course, just watched, that is Rob Adams, I believe, in the number 23 car who crossed that gravel after turn 4. Tricky spot there getting turn 4. It's a very fast corner, Will, but it's very easy to run wide on exit. But we've seen guys getting in there, but they get out fairly well. Pit stops are going to be interesting, though, because this pit entry is interesting.
Yeah, I can say that one. We're having a look at that number 9 car as we work on board of him, completely messing up, then sliding, drifting, somehow able to hold on to the car, but losing 1, then 2, then 3 positions. That's Chris McGowan there in that number 9 car. Having himself a bit of a tough call. He did just about survive that race, because if you go off, well, it's a long way back onto the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely, and that gravel can really upset this car. Get even one wheel onto the grass or the gravel, and it is not pleasant to control.
There you can see then having another look at that number 9 car. You can see into a 45-degree spin, actually getting himself his right rear tyre onto that curbing, and there you can see the result of that one, losing himself 3 positions, which is not what he would have wanted. Now, we've got ourselves a 2-car breakaway now, because Philippe Labour has been has Richard Avery catching him like last time by Avery 2 tenths of a second faster. Subaru, however, has been dropped now, Rachel. 1.8 seconds. This is a 2-horse race, and the thing is, Labour needs to win here. Avery doesn't need it as much as far as the championship goes, but I don't think that Avery's going to care with whether or not Labour wants or needs a win here.
Oh, absolutely not. Richard Avery is in it for Richard Avery. If he wants to win, he will go for that win. If any of those 2 drivers in the top 2 right now can win, he's definitely one of them. In fact, both we know already a race-winning caliber. Richard Avery, he is a strong, dominant fighter. I fully expect him to put the pressure on Labour right down to lap 29.
Yep, so there you can see then the gap is still at about 0.4 of a second last time by Richard Avery, a 1 minute 21.266. Pretty much identical to Labour, of course, now he is in that dirty air as well. Troy Burgess, by the way, has actually just moved himself up into 3rd place on the racetrack. So we'll see if we can get ourselves another look at that one, because Subaru falling down a position, and now Matthew Daniels is in his clutches as well.
Yes, he is, and those guys running through that section of the racetrack is pretty tough, Will. And, well, most of this track is tough, but it's one of those spots that can really make or break a race.
As you can see, they're replaying from Troy Burgess down into that final corner. You can see getting a much better run out that corner, using that gravel to his advantage a little bit, bouncing back onto the racetrack. Then he sets himself up to go side by side down in towards turn number 1. It was a textbook pass. We talk about how it's the big overtaking opportunity. As they came down into that first corner, there was nothing that 146 car or Subaru can do coming in. All academic, and they can see moving Troy Burgess up 1 position on the racetrack, now into 3rd. So it's all settled down for the time being at the front of your field. They can see Matthew Daniels behind Subaru. We'll have a look back down in your pack though, because it is still mighty close down there, as you can see, as we have a look again at Matt Defoe riding on board with him down in towards turn number 1. Of course, Defoe lost a couple of positions earlier on. He is currently scored himself in the 13th position up the racetrack. That is 2 places up from where he started. The car just ahead of him, that's Chris McGowan having another wide moment on the exit of turn number 1. That's going to allow Defoe right up behind him as they work themselves down through 2 into this very difficult left-hander. And this mid-pack, Rachel, they are still going at it hammer and tongue. And don't forget, with pit stops, they'll probably start at about 5 laps time.
They will indeed, and I'm watching this battle at the moment with Chris McGowan, Matt Defoe and George Lee Wright involved, Will. Pretty exciting here, very, very close racing. Of course, Lee Wright and Defoe, both very, very close on this track. 2 of the closest cars in this rather large train of about 8 cars. It's pretty intense back here. Guys, nose to tail right now, but looking for opportunity. It's just ahead of Matt Defoe. Chris McGowan runs a little wide.
He does, and you can see there that Defoe is right on the rear of him then, as they work themselves down in towards the final corner once again. Gap from Defoe to Lee Wright is 1/4 of a second. The gap out front is 3/10 of a second. Down to complete that 11th tour around this racetrack. And, well, it looks as though that Defoe's going to get a very, very good run out the corner. Let's have a look at the speed chart there between these 2 drivers. That gap is now down to just 2/10 of a second, down to 1/10 of a second. Will Defoe look down to the inside? And indeed, he's going to do so. There you can see the overspeed. There you can see Matt Defoe down to the inside. Matt Defoe will complete that pass there over Chris McGowan down towards turn number 1. Lee Wright's going to have a go of it as well. And Lee Wright forces his way through and completes that pass on the exit of turn number 1. Now Defoe will have the opportunity to come back, but Lee Wright is trying to find a way of closing that door. Not able to do so. They will remain 2 wide as they come through turn number 2, and Defoe getting, sorry, that is McGowan even being pushed off the racetrack there in that number 16 machine. Replay of that one coming up, but my God, that was a little bit aggressive there by Lee Wright down towards turn number 1. He saw the opportunity and he went for it, Rachel.
Absolutely, and Lee Wright is nothing short of aggressive when he races, but that was what I like to call a legitimate dive bomb. There was the room there, he'd been pushed wide as Defoe went through, and Lee Wright saw an open door and he put his foot through it. He had every right to. Great pass there, kept it too wide, chopped him a little late into turn 4, Will, but hey, he made it stick and nobody hit each other, so it's all good.
Yeah, there we are then. You can see down in towards the corner they come. McGowan, you'll notice here, just cutting. McGowan having to take evasive action, getting himself into a little bit of a slide, and he loses himself 2 positions because of it, down into 18th place now on the racetrack, and actually down into P number 20 as he's onto pit road, making his first pit stop of the day. There you can see him then making that stop. We've also got Conflict Pie on pit road as well. Pit stop time 11.9 seconds for McGowan as he comes out and away, and a 13.4 second stop there for Conflict Pie as he also completes his service. So pit stops have commenced, and one thing we know, Rachel, from all season, as actually Avery just got himself ahead of Labour.
He has indeed, Will. Now heading into turn 5 at the moment. Just having a look back to see when that happened. That was, I think, through turn 1. It was indeed. Avery went down the inside of Labour, forced a hole, got through cleanly inside turn 1. Had the lead before they got to turn 2 and 3.
Yeah, let's get ourselves another look at this one then as we ride along board with Richard Avery. And this is himself working down into the final corner. Now we know that Labour has had a couple of issues in that final corner today. As we have a look at Richard Avery out of that final corner, he comes and he's able to just get himself down in towards turn number 1 without any issues, get himself that race lead. You can tell that huge overspeed working well for him as well. There you can see, slots himself nicely down to the inside, completes that pass without any issue at all into that first corner. Labour, in some ways, almost gave it to him as well, as Richard Avery moves to the point here at Summit Point Raceway. No pun intended there at all. As we see, the gap between those two drivers is currently just 0.2 of a second. Down in third as well, Matthias Wagner and George Lee right there going side by side. And we've got Troy Burgess as, well, hit the wall, Rachel. Slammed hard into the wall.
He has indeed, Will. He went straight off almost the apex of turn 3. He just seemed to get a wiggle on the apex as the back end of the car broke loose. He had to basically straighten that wheel to stop the car from spinning on him. Unfortunately, spinning would have been the safer option because straight lining it went right into those tyre barriers.
Yeah, and there you can see big, hard impact then for the 174 car of Troy Burgess as his day, for all intents and purposes, is done. Here you can see then Philippe Labour onto pit road at the conclusion of lap number 14. Now, we talk about how hard pit road is. Labour slowing it down. Now, the thing is, this is why he wasn't too upset, Rachel, because now he can get himself into a position where he now has the advantage.
Absolutely, and when he comes in like this, he can, obviously in second place, he can dictate when he stops. As the leader, he has to kind of almost either stick to his guns and his plan, or he has to wait for Avery to make that move first. And as it stood, he managed to make that move in second and leave Avery hanging out. Once he realised Avery wasn't coming in, he could pit in, get fresh tyres, come out, run a blazing fast outlap, possibly beat Avery as he comes into the pits, probably this time round.
Yeah, but here's the thing for Labour, when he comes back out onto the racetrack, note that 167 car just coming out ahead of him, and you see Labour forcing the issue down to the inside there, and he had to do that one because otherwise Paul Malocas would have potentially cost him the race. We always say in these events the last thing you want to do is come out into dirty air, and Labour very lucky actually, because now you can see ahead of Labour absolutely nothing at all for a good second, 2 seconds on the racetrack. You can see there down in P18, that's not an issue at all, but the important thing is he has got clean air. Here you can see then Richard Avery coming down. Will he come on towards pit road? No, he will stay out for another lap. So Richard Avery will lead his third lap here today as we now pass the halfway distance of tonight's event. That 101 friction racing car, Richard Avery leads his third lap of the day. Keeping an eye out, it looks as though that Jonas Purka is onto pit road from the 6th position. A couple of drivers coming on towards pit road this time by Rachel. The next couple of laps, so it's when it's all going to get crazy.
It is indeed. Once that pit cycle's in full swing, Will, it'll get really, really interesting there. Especially cars trying to find a way into pit road with traffic. Fair at the moment is making a pass there on Brian Dole into turn 1. That 119 car getting around the outside. Under threat from Matt Defoe.
Yeah, and you can see Mike McCormick completing his service. And you've also got ourselves Dustin Kessinger, 12.7 seconds back out and away as Mike McCormick, very long stop for him, 17.6 seconds back out onto the racetrack. So things are all over the place right now. Here you can see your mid-pack. It is incredibly close right now. And this is about between Matt Defoe, George Lee Wright, as you've also got Duncan Copperidge in the mix there as well in the 9th position on the racetrack. And they stay kind of single file throughout this section of the racetrack. And here you can see Richard Avery coming down. Will he actually come on towards pit road this time by? No, he stays out and does yet another lap. Matthew Daniels, so you can see actually, no, you've got Theobald Schuberen this time coming on towards pit road. So we have a look then as he comes onto pit road. Very fast actually there. He's lucky. I don't think he got a penalty, but it was very close. So Schuberen leads this gaggle of cars on towards pit road. You've also got the number 42 car of Clark Williams stopping. And that thing you said, Rachel, about if drivers come onto pit road in groups, then we could actually see an incident. Drivers punting other drivers off of pit road almost.
Oh, certainly. That entrance is very difficult, especially getting slowed down in the right time. With the car ahead of you trying to slow down, that kind of screws your practice, because you want to practice within the car in front of you. So very, very tough to get that right position. Of course, exiting pit road, you exit right back into the traffic flow, so that's almost as difficult. One thing to note, though, Will, the longer Avery stays out, the shorter his pit stop will be. He won't need to take as much fuel. And, well, he's not losing as much as he might, as we see Silverand nearly go round.
Let's have a look.
He just nearly put the 161 car of Malocas off the track.
Let's get ourselves a replay of that one then as well. Just fire it up, coming down in towards turn number 1. Let's have a look then, see what happens with him. And Malukas, well, side by side down in towards that first corner. You can see mighty close, late break there. Pushes across the racetrack into a full sideways drift. And how anyone didn't hit each other there, I'm not quite sure. We'll get ourselves one more look at that, as I do believe Richard Avery is onto pit road. So we'll show you his pit stop in just one moment's time. But Richard Avery is now indeed onto pit road. So we'll just have another look at this replay. You can see there, down to the inside, that 146 car comes. And, well, a big loop for him there. But we'll go back and you can see almost contact with nothing.
Labor in the final corner,
on pit road. Here we come then. Let's have a look. Richard Avery coming out of pit road. And it is going to be Richard Avery leading for the time being. And yes, he does lead. But Labor, there you can see, not far behind as they come down in towards turn number 1. Richard Avery is your race leader. Matthew Daniels is in 3rd place, just behind right now. But that gap, Labor all over the rear of Richard Avery as they come down into turn number 1 again. Now, Labor will have, warm tyres at this stage of the event. Avery is going to have to defend until those tyre temperatures get up, Rachel. But it's very close between these two. It's actually just exactly what it was before they came onto pit road.
It's even closer. Oh no, Labor's going round. He saves it. He waggles. He's across the gravel well. Labor recovers that. He gets it back out on track. That's exactly the break Avery needed. Avery, of course, very cold tyres. He had to defend very hard there on that outlap. So close coming out of the pits. But Labor just buckling under a little bit of pressure there. That nearly cost him a shot at the win.
Yeah, let's have a look then. You can see right up behind then and coming down in towards turn 3, just getting himself into a 4-way drift. He corrects it and he gets himself back on at the right point. He does cut across the gravel, but to be fair, the only other thing would have been one of those hard walls. But there you can see that he burnt, well, having a bit of an interesting one. Now 1.4 seconds back. And it's been the story of this all season long for Philippe Labor. He's had issues. It's just behind. Got another driver coming on towards pit road. There is Ryan Delvin, completing the sequence of pit stops as he now comes on towards pit road to make his service. But Richard Avery leads by 1.2 seconds, although that time by Labor was able to gain 3 tenths of a second on the back end of that lap. So this one isn't over, Rachel. Avery needs to push himself here.
Absolutely, that is absolutely required. Richard Avery, he might be leading for now, but there's still 10 laps to go, Will. That's plenty of time for Labor to catch him, and they are going to be heading into traffic soon as they reach the back end of this field, so it isn't over by a long stretch. But Avery now has warm tyres too. He's not going to make it easy. We saw how hard he defended to keep that lead. He knew it was a critical moment. He did what he had to do.
There you can see as well, Zablek Furher in a 3-way battle down in P number 9, 10, 11 and 12 on the racetrack. There you can see the gap out front to Rob Reed's about 1/3 of a second. We cycle that camera back and you can see that gap is pretty small to Matthias Wieger behind him. You can see also damage to the rear wing of Furher, running himself in that 11th spot right now. Trainer cars forming to try and get these people up into the top 10 as we count down the laps now here on RaceSpotTV. And it's interesting to know the fact that Labor is sticking it with Avery right now. Here you can see Avery at the final corner. Here you can see Philippe Labor very wide at that final corner once again. That's the second time he's done that one in this race. We go on board with Labor. The laps, they come past start finish line. Labor still 3 tenths of a second faster, Rachel.
He is indeed, and that's going to definitely make up some time for him there. Of course, everything he can gain right now on Avery is going to be really critical to this finish, and he knows he needs maximum points in this race. But Avery, he's a cog in the works right now. He could be something that will either throw this race or give it to Labor. I think either way, there's going to be some heat coming before this is over.
Oh yeah, and you can see that Matthew Daniels is still in play as well. With less than 10 laps to go in the event. There you can see the gap behind, by the way. It's just 7 tenths of a second. Down in your pack, you've got Brian Doyle right involved in a 3-way battle with Yunus Puraka and Theobald Subran right now. Subran's actually come out the worst of all of these drivers. Down 3 spots from where he started. He had a great qualifying in that number 146 RaceSpot machine, but is now down and scored in the 6th spot on the racetrack. Really struggling right now. As behind as well, you can see a pack of cars. Matt Defoe at the front of that train. Then you've got Rob Reed, Zobex Furher, Matthias Wieger, Duncan Copperidge, Chris McGowan, and Karthik Pai all there in the mix as they work themselves down towards that final corner once again. As well, actually, again, this time you see Philippe Labor again doing a faster lap by 2 tenths of a second as we ride on board then with Zobex Furher coming out of the final corner. Well, Rachel, we still got some great racing here to go. And I'm interested to see, actually, is Rob Reed looking as though he's going to look down to the inside of Rob Reed to come down to turn 1. Easy, easy, easy pass.
Yeah, pretty much textbook there, Will, although they're going to have a look back at him. Rob Reed made a good pass there. I love that shark car he's driving, Will. Very nice little paint scheme there. But yeah, good pass for him there. Pretty simple, but the other guys behind him looking racy. They might come back at him.
Yeah, Matthias Wieger actually going to push wide, and that's going to allow the number 11 car to go well past. You can see bumping all the way Matthias Wieger there, having himself a tough ride of it. He's struggling to get himself back on the racetrack. He eventually does. We'll get ourselves another look at that one for you then. So you can see down in towards turn number 1. We'll show you the entire pass. It's just to let you know as well. Labour now down to half a second behind Richard Avery, as we'll get ourselves another look at this one. But well, Wieger just took, I think he decided he wanted to do some rallycross, Rachel.
Well, it seems like a few people have been practicing their old rallycross here today, Will. Very tricky little twisty track this, very organic and quite un-American in a lot of ways. It's a very British style track, lots of elevation changes, twisty weird corners, and it's pretty much fitted to its surroundings rather than the other way around. Herman Tilke was not consulted for this one, and it is a great racetrack. Yeah, lots of runoff, but not the places you want it.
No, and we're going to get ourselves another look then. You can see actually just how close Wieger was to the tyre barriers. Incredibly close stuff there, as we keep working back to live footage. And here you can see Richard Avery with lap number 22 of 29, Rachel. That gap now just 3/10 of a second. The race is on. Daniels has been dropped for the time being. There is traffic. That is David Stefani just ahead of them. Now Avery, he just needs to be cautious when he comes through this traffic. Of course, he will move all out the way here. Labour getting through as well through Stefani, but Avery wasn't able to gain anything there, and Labour still right behind him. I wonder whether or not Labour will try and repay the favour, and if he does, when he's going to do it.
Well, I think he might have a look into turn 1 this time round, but I don't think he's going to go for it. I think he might wait a lap or two and really plan this move, because he knows he's going to have to make it done in turn 1 to really stop Avery. He has to get past cleanly just to stop him defending. Avery will give him the room, but if there's any doubt about the matter, Avery will keep it too wide. It has to be a quick, short pass there for Labour to make this one stick. Avery going very defensive very early. Labour not really showing his hand. He's just keeping it in there, knowing he's close enough. Of course, there are 7 laps left, Will. 6 laps left. There's plenty of time, and don't believe that Labour is not scoping this one out.
Yeah, we have actually got a car in the number 27 machine coming out of pit road. That is Matthias Wieger, who, of course, he must have done something damage to that car. We saw he was mighty close to the wall and bouncing across the car, bouncing across that gravel even. Must have hurt him. But also, it was interesting to note that Labour was off the throttle midway down that straightaway. The interesting thing would be, actually, if these drivers, you know, don't fight too hard, they might still be able to keep ahead of Daniels. The thing is, for Labour, though, if he slows down enough, it will be a 3-horse race, and I think Avery would prefer to have a 3-horse race in this latter stage of the event.
Certainly, and I think the best way for him to do it will be this middle sector we've just completed. Well, if he can slow Labour down there isn't many opportunities for Labour to get past him if Avery drives defensively. So he can back him up to Daniels, and Daniels will hopefully fight for second place, which will free Avery up to run for the hills. But right now, it's still very much a 2-horse race. Labour, once again, off that throttle. He's just sighting Avery. He wants to find that position. Avery, of course, not taking any chances, going defensive to the inside. But yeah, this will be his time. If he wants to back him up, this will be it now.
Yep. Lap 24 and then of 29 here. Brian Dow behind as well, putting the pressure on Yunus Puraka as they come down in towards turn number 1. Here you can see them, your second big train of cars. Rob Reed, Matt Defoe, Sublux Furher thinking about looking down to the inside, not quite close enough. Duncan Copperidge, Chris McGower in that battle. We cycle it back as well. You can see there's our third group of cars. George Lee Wright, Richard Holiday, as they come down in towards turn number 1. No one's going to make a move in that battle. But you've got Bart Hogemood side by side then. And that number 190 car of Joni Tankinen as they work themselves out of turn number 1. It does seem to be that all of a sudden we're into a bit of a waiting game, Rachel. Give it 3-4 laps. Everyone will be back on the charge.
They will indeed, and Labour's definitely being backed up towards Daniels now, Will. That gap is staying a bit, almost the same, if not getting a little smaller. But Avery, he's really playing that defensive game now, so he's losing time whether he wants to or not. Defensive driving is actually costing him time whether he wants to back Labour up or not.
Yeah, last time by 121.3, 121.2, 121.4 were your top three drivers' times. As we just see there, your middle part of the field working himself through into the final corner. Now, again,
He's
here comes
making a move.
Labour to the outside as they come down in towards turn number 1. Looks like Labour's had enough, and he's going to do it there. Philippe Labour goes back to the race lead, but they're side by side, and Avery will reclaim the position then as they come out of turn number 1. They stay side by side. It's Labour on the inside. It's Avery on the outside as they come down in towards turn number 3. Who will get it? Well, the answer to that one's going to be simple. It'll be Philippe Labour back to the point, but pushing a little bit wide there as well. Labour decided to go for it. I think he realised about the fact that Matthew Daniels was closing up too quickly around them, Rachel.
I think he did, but that was an amazing tactical move there by Labour. He knew Avery would go defensive. He tested him a few times, and he took the outside like he was going to try and make that move again. Avery went defensive, which gave Labour the run on the outside. He knew if he stayed around the outside and could hold it at least too wide out of the corner, which he did, that gave him the inside line into the very tricky single lane turn 3. That was exactly what he needed, and he played Avery like a fiddle.
Yeah, there you can see completing that pass then on the exit of turn number 3. Nice, easy pass for him, and there you can see then the gap as they work themselves out the final corner. We'll get confirmation of that as they work themselves past the start-finish line. There'll be 5 laps to go this time by, and well, it looks like it's 3 tenths of a second, 4 tenths of a second. Daniels is kind of out of it for the time being. It is a 2-horse race, although Avery gained a lot in the draft there, and that run down in towards turn number 1. Behind, here you can see Durl still battling with Yunus Purica as they work themselves through turn number 1 once again. And behind them, Matt Defoe is all over the rear of Rob Reed as they come down in towards turn number 1. You see, thinking about looking down to the inside, the number 45 car of Rob Reed pushes wide. They're too wide, too deep as they work themselves out of corner number 1. 37 machine and Matt Defoe not going to be able to get past, but Sebrex Furher is going to try and be brave and look down to the inside in turn number 3 and then thinks better of it, Rachel.
He does indeed. That pack's been very close all day, Will. From the drop of the green flag, they've been all over each other. Rob Reed currently best of that pack. He's been running pretty good today, and that shark keeping him out ahead. He's been driving like a predator.
I'm not even going to.
Oh, come on.
No. Philippe Labour leads then by 4 tenths per second over Richard Avery. Matthew Daniels in 3rd. Yunus Purica in 4th. Brian Dowell in 5th. Buck Williams in 6th. Rob Kane in 7th. Rob Reed in 8th. Matt Defoe in 9th. And Duncan Copper trying out your top 10. There you can see then after pit stops, big movers in this event. Matt Defoe is up a couple of positions, but here comes Richard Avery. Is he going to try and do exactly the same move Labour did? We have a look on board with Richard Avery as they come down into turn number 1. They are side by side once again. Here comes Avery, looking for that lead back. Will he be able to hold it on the outside line? The answer to that question is, they almost touched there through turn number 1. Avery pushes wide, tracks wide, gets himself back into line. Avery couldn't do what Labour did. It's close, but now, of course, Avery has 2 more laps.
Big crash, Will. We've had an incident in the mid-section of the racetrack. That is, I believe, turn number 6.
George Lee Wright.
George Lee Wright has been... Well, he wobbles and slips across the track and gets hit by, I'd say, well, innocent victim there, the number 29 of Mike McCormick. McCormick just sending George Lee Wright for a bit of a spin cycle. Both those cars potentially out, but McCormick might drive away. George Lee Wright shaken and definitely stirred.
Yeah, there we can see George Lee Wright clawed down on pit road right now. Really struggling for it right now. So they can see him, but they can see Philippe Labour. They can see Richard Avery behind. The gap is just 3 tenths of a second. They work themselves down this long run to the final corner. Once again, gap down to 1/3 of a second. This time by, there'll be 2 laps to go. Now, if you're Richard Avery, do you wait or do you go for it? It looks as though we'll get that speed chart up. We'll have a look, see whether or not Avery stays in the gas. He has the overspeed of a couple of miles and kilometers an hour already. He is staying in it. He's thinking about looking down to the inside. You can see that he's got the overspeed, 5 kilometers an hour, side by side, in towards turn number 1. Looks as though that Labour will hold it, but no, here comes Avery, back around the outside, and again, he couldn't work that outside line. Labour will hold on, but this time by, Avery is closer, but just about enough there for, and you see Avery's going to look down to the inside here, and Avery might just about make it. No, he doesn't. Labour holds on for another corner, but now that's 2 chances Avery's had. He's not been able to work it on the outside line. He's got 1 more to try and figure out how to do it, Rachel.
He does indeed, and Leiber's making a few mistakes. He's putting his feet off the track there, just kind of wobbling a little bit, but not enough for Avery to really make any ground. Avery really all over the gearbox of that Skip Barber race car ahead of him, but he's just trying to find an opening, Will, and one is not presenting itself. He's tried to copy Leiber twice now, made that move around the outside in turn 1. Don't think it's suiting his driving style, though. He can't quite make it stick there. He might be able to make something happen, though, if he goes to the inside here for the final corner, Will. He's going to make that move.
Yeah, down to the inside. He will look then as they come down into that final corner. Of course, momentum will be taken away. They're going to be side by side on that run to the start-finish line. Avery will have the inside line, and that is going to be important. The white flag is out this time by 1 more lap to go. Avery crosses over to the outside line as they come down in towards turn number 1 to the last lap of the race. We ride on board them with Philippe Leiber. They can see Richard Avery as they come down in towards turn number 1, and well, they're going to go sideways there, Leiber, and you can see Avery tracking out a little bit as well as they work themselves still side by side down in towards turn number 2, and this is going to be the chance of Avery, but don't forget that Avery tried to make a pass in the final corner. Leiber around the outside, somehow they're still going. Avery clips the curb and he pushes himself just out front. Leiber getting a big wiggle there, and that's Avery making a little bit of contact, but Avery will go to the race lead.
He does indeed, and that little contact there, I think, and I can't really, don't quote me here, but that was possibly instigated by the wiggle that Leiber had. He got on the gravel a bit, and that just whipped the car across the track. Bit of tyre-on-tyre contact there, and that's unfortunately hurt him. Avery, though, he's got that lead. Anything now that has to be done, Leiber's going to have to get a critically fast exit from that final corner, Will, if he wants this win, and it's down to the last try.
Yep, so here you can see then riding on board with Leiber. He's not quite close enough. He'll have to be very bold into the final corner. Set your photo finish cameras, ladies and gentlemen. This could well be a close one as they work themselves out of the final corner. Leiber is close. It's down to 2 tenths per second. I don't think he'll have enough time. Richard Avery will go to the race victory. It's going to be a side-by-side photo finish, but it's going to be Richard Avery who will win it, I do believe, by 99 1,000ths of a second.
Oh, wow. That was an incredible finish, Will. Leiber gave it everything he could there.
Incredible.
Just not quite enough. Not quite enough. I can't really say which one of those was better or worse. They both had exactly the same speed, and it was a lottery who crossed that line in the final corner. But Avery made the move when he had to, with 1 to go, and Leiber had 1 chance, and it wasn't enough. If he'd have gone into the final corner, Will, he'd have had him. If there was 1 more lap, he would have been passed.
It was so close for Philippe Leiber. Wasn't able to complete it, however, as Richard Avery will claim victory here today. Just waiting for the last of the drivers on the lead lap to come past the start-finish line.
Defoe out of fuel. Defoe will not make it.
There you can see Matt Defoe. And, well, there you can see he's out. He has, I think, gone past the start-finish line. Yeah, I do think he has just gone past the start-finish line. We'll get a look at the final race results in just 1 moment's time. Waiting now for Chris Simpson to come past the start-finish line in the number 12 car. Indeed, there you do see it. And yet, Matt Defoe was ahead of the start-finish line. So Defoe is classified with a 10th place finish, but does lose out a little bit along the way. Let's then run through your final race results here from Summit Point Raceway. And when all is said and done, it was the driver of Richard Avery who was able to claim victory by 64 1,000ths of a second officially. Matthew Daniels in 3rd, Eunice Purica in 4th, Brian Dow, Clark Williams, Rob Kane, Chris McGowan, Catholic Pie, and Duncan Copperidge rounding out your top 10. Then you can see it is suspects for her, Matt Defoe, Richard Holiday, Bart Hogme, Dustin Kessinger, Failbot Subaran, Uni Takinen, Rob Adams, Richard Delvin, and Ove Presson. Then you can see the rest of the results coming up on your screen. Couple of retirees: George Lee Wright, Matthias Wager, Kevin Bierman, and Troy Burgess. Ricardo Bispo, of course, on lap number 1. Fahim Atanides did not start today's event. We're going to step aside for just 1 moment, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back after these messages. You're watching RaceSpotTV.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Checking up, go low, come on low, come on low, come on low, come on low, go low, low, low.
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to RaceSpotTV post-race coverage and post-race interviews. And because I love Rachel Whiteford so much, she's going to do all the post-race interviews tonight.
I am indeed, Will. In fact, I'm down here in the paddock with Philippe Lebert. You came home second today, Philippe. You started from the pole. That was an incredible fight you had with Richard Avery. Tell me about your race.
Well, it certainly wasn't as boring as last week. And well, actually lost the race in turn 1 on the final lap. I got a little loose and lost momentum, and that allowed Richard to get alongside. And then I made was a little mistake in turn 3. I tapped him. I almost lost the car, but I couldn't get back to him. So yeah, second place. I'll have to be happy with that.
You pitted in a few laps earlier than Richard Avery today in the race. In fact, you actually conceded the lead to him the lap prior to you pitting in. I'm assuming you were planning on going in that lap and weren't too bothered about defending the lead, preceding that, yes?
No, I wanted to prevent him from following me in the pit lane. So I knew I was a little quicker than him, so I thought, well, maybe if I pit early and he doesn't pit, then I can pass him in the pit stops. But I just couldn't do it because I got stuck in traffic. That was a risk worth taking. But
well, you hear it there. That was Philippe Lebert. He came home in second place today. Tough fight, and a race that you probably won't want to remember, but it's still good points in his championship fight against Vincenius Rocker. Also here down with Matthew Daniels. Matthew, you came home in third, final step on the podium today. Tell me about your race.
Hello Rachel. It was a bit of an uneventful race for me, to be honest. I managed to get qualified pretty well in 5th place. Nearly took 4th place at the start, nearly got on the inside, but slotted back into 5th place. It's just a matter of running along, not making any mistakes. Eventually, I think one of the guys in front of me messed up or disconnected or something, so I was up into 4th place, and then I was surprised I did so well with a pit stop.
Yeah, the pit road here is particularly tough. Your pit strategy for today, were you planning on making it an early stop, or was it more of a late stop sort of strategy, and did you have to change that during the race based on the traffic you were in?
Now, I usually plan a late stop, just by the fact that I'm running on lighter fuel loads generally.
Okay, well, that's Matthew Daniels coming home today in 3rd position. Yeah, we also have George Lee Wright with us here in the booth. George, unfortunately, you finished today down in 27th after qualifying 20th. We know you had a lot of mid-pack to front of mid-pack speed, if not getting into the front. What went wrong?
Hello Rachel, yeah, coming out the last corner I got a poor exit and Richard got the run on me. He overtook me cleanly going down the straight, and I thought I could get the switch back going into the first corner. I got the inside of him and I just misjudged my braking a little bit. I locked up my front and my left front wheel hit his rear right wheel, and that bent my front left steering arm.
Yeah, an unfortunate incident there that ended your race. Do you particularly think you were good with this track, or are you looking forward to next week?
I did have good long run pace, and like, there's a lot of positives I can take out of today and progress more as a driver. And next week is Road America, is it?
It is indeed.
Not a circuit that's too high on my ratings, but I'll give it a crack.
Indeed, and at one point I believe you were working actually with Matt Defoe on the track. A little bit of co-opetition to help advance your positions.
Yeah, Matt Defoe was really quick. Like, he helped me out a lot. Like, we caught up the pack in front of me, and yeah, we just worked together. And yeah, we both pitted on the same lap, and my pit stop did not go to plan. Like, I did not want to choose tyres, and my pit crew gave me tyres, and I was going mad.
Well, I think Georgie Wright will have to have a chat with his crew chief today. Will he came home in 27th place?
Of course you are.
That was my super silky smooth handover.
I know.
And you screwed it up.
No. It was perfect. Thank you very much. But yeah, Road America next week.
It is indeed Drafto Supremo.
It is. As well, we've still got a couple of races here on RaceSpotTV this coming week. And yes, these two. We have got ourselves, of course, tomorrow, the Neo Endurance Series, 6 hours of Interlagos. And then we have ourselves the 16 Street Racing League, Milwaukee Indy Fest. That'll be, well, tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern Time. That is about midnight in the morning, Her Majesty's United Kingdom time on Monday, as we finish off birthday week here on RaceSpotTV. In the interim, this has been a RaceSpotTV presentation of the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. Myself, Will Vincent, Rachel Whiteford. We'll talk to you all next time. Bye!